Hey guys, it's Saturday the 3rd of March. It's 9 p.m. in the UK, and I just wanted to do a short video on this considering a Passover Rapture Part 2. I'm really actually getting excited as Passover comes because it just makes sense to me that the Rapture could possibly happen on Passover, and obviously this is speculation, but the more I look at it, the more it kind of fits. So in this part 2, if you haven't watched the first part, I'd recommend watching that because this builds on that. And it started off with Exodus 12:42. It is a night to be much observed unto the Lord for bringing them out from the land of Egypt. This is that night of the Lord to be observed of all the children of Israel in their generations. But Passover wasn't just when Israel exited Egypt, and in the second part we'll see that Passover was also when Israel entered into the Promised Land. So it was the exit and the entrance, and in Joshua 5:1 it says, "And it came to pass, when all the kings of the Amorites which were on the side of the Jordan westward, and all the kings of the Canaanites which were by the sea, heard that the Lord had dried up the waters of Jordan from before the children of Israel, until we were passed over, that their heart melted, neither was their spirit in them any more, because of the children of Israel." So I'm going to concentrate on this image which I've put together, which kind of shows forth my thinking. And starting off on the left-hand side here, this is when God made his covenant with Abraham. In Genesis 17:2 it says, "I will make my covenant between me and thee, and will multiply thee exceedingly." This was the seed of Abraham, which was the children of Israel. And in Genesis 17:10 it says, "This is my covenant which ye shall keep between me and you and thy seed after thee. Every man child among you shall be circumcised." So I've just put this little ribbon picture because there seems to be this recurring theme about circumcision, both in the Passover when they exited Egypt and also when they entered the Jordan. So on the left-hand side is the covenant with Abraham, and on the right-hand side was the exit from Egypt on the Passover, and that occurs in Exodus 12:40. "Now the sojourning of the children of Israel who dwelt in the land was 430 years, and it came to pass at the end of the 430 years, even the self-same day." So it's talking about the very same day that the covenant was made with Abraham. "Even the self-same day it came to pass that all the hosts of the Lord went out from the land of Egypt." Notice how it says there that all the hosts of the Lord. It doesn't say Israel or the Hebrews. It says the hosts of the Lord went out from the land of Egypt. And this is confirmed in Galatians 3:17. "And this I say, that the covenant that was confirmed before of God in Christ the law, which was 430 years. So this is the confirmation of the covenant. This is the fulfillment of that promise and the fulfillment of that prophecy. And in Exodus 12:44, here's that recurring theme of the circumcision when they're exiting Egypt. "But every man's servant that is bought for money, when thou hast circumcised him, then shall he eat thereof." So only the circumcised could participate in the Passover. And it goes on in 12:48, "And when a stranger shall sojourn with thee, and will keep the Passover to the Lord, let all his males be circumcised." So here I put that little ribbon there again for the circumcision. Then comes Moses, and when Moses dies after the 40 years of them in the wilderness, and also remember Abraham died, he didn't see the Passover, only happened 430 years later. So Abraham, the promise made to Abraham, he died, the Passover happened long after his death. The promise made to Moses, he died, and he went up to the mountain for 40 days, and they wandered in the wilderness for 40 years. And there was no circumcision which took place in the wilderness. So on the right-hand side, after the period of them wandering the wilderness, was the entrance. So here's the exit from Egypt, and then here's the entrance into the Jordan, and this happened on Passover as well. So we have the covenant with Abraham being made on Passover, the exit from Egypt being made on Passover, the entrance into the Jordan happens on Passover too, as we'll see. In Joshua 5:7 it says, "And their children whom he raised up in their seed, them Joshua circumcised, for they were uncircumcised, because they had not circumcised them by the way." So they were not circumcised in the wilderness, and just before they went into the promised land, then they were circumcised. And in Joshua 5:9 it says, "And the Lord said unto Joshua, This day," that's the day that they were circumcised, "have I rolled away the reproach of Egypt from you. Wherefore the name of the place is called Gilgal unto this day. And the children of Israel encamped in Gilgal and kept the Passover." So this was on Passover, "on the 14th day of the month, even in the plains of Jericho." So we see the exit from Egypt, we see the entrance into the promised land. And not only that, but on the same day where Joshua circumcises the people, he sees the captain of the Lord's host, which was the pre-incarnation of Jesus. "And the captain of the Lord's host said unto Joshua, Loose thy shoe from off thy foot, for the place where thou standest is holy." And Joshua did so. So as they entered into the promised land, was when they then walked around Jericho for 7 days and blew the trumpets, and all the walls fell down. And that is a type of tribulation, which is 7 years. So then, of course, in Matthew 26:28, this is what Jesus said when at the Last Supper on Passover, "For this is the blood of the New Testament," or the New Covenant, "which is shed for many for the remission of sins." And Jesus said on the same night, which was the Last Supper, "In my Father's house there are many mansions. If it were not so, I would have told you, I go to prepare a place for you." So the fulfillment of this covenant and this promise, I don't see any reason why it can't be Passover. And in fact, it fits, if you look, it fits quite nicely, because here we have an exit and an entrance. It's like putting the exit from Egypt and the entrance into the promised land together, and those both happened on the same day, not obviously at the same time, but you see the model how it fits quite nicely. And the circumcision part, as far as the New Testament and the gospel is concerned, Paul says that, "Seeing it is one God which shall justify the circumcision by faith and uncircumcision through faith." And in 1 Corinthians 7:19 it says, "Circumcision is nothing and uncircumcision is nothing, but the keeping of the commandments of God." And we know that we should be circumcised. It's a circumcision of the heart, and it's to be circumcised from this world, and to have no part in this world. And in Galatians 6:15, "For in Christ Jesus neither circumcision availeth anything, nor uncircumcision, but a new creature." So we are new creatures in Christ, and we are pilgrims passing through this world. And this is, this is a perfect fit as far as I can see. Passover Rapture makes a perfect sense, and Passover is the last feasts of the Lord that we see happening just before Israel turns 70 years old. And of course there's the death of Billy Graham, which I believe is very prophetic. And also, if you remember the diagram that I covered in the first video, was Passover Sukkot from the blood moons, which means Passover is the next feast that it could be pointing at. So I'm excited for Passover. I'm going to be watching out very much so on that day, and I hope you are too. See you soon.